This video is going to be an overview of how layers work in MapWashtenaw. The first thing users are often interested in is how to change the base map so they can see our aerial imagery. The primary location for them is under this Basemaps button in the bottom left corner of the map. Click here to open the widget, and then you can just select whichever year you're interested in for it to appear on the map. This is also where the time slider tool exists. If you click on the tool to enable it, a timeline will appear at the top of this widget. Slide the dot down the timeline so that you can see it quickly cycle through our aerial imagery. Please note that some years do not have full coverage. For example, the City of Ann Arbor aerials are only for the city, and some of the older aerials do have some holes. So just be aware of that if you're not seeing aerial imagery if you're looking at a particular location. Just try zooming out or clicking on another one. If you no longer want to see one of these, you can choose one of the choices at the top, either no base map, which is nothing, or the default that appears, hillshade, which is just a slight shading of elevation in the county. Now, to change the layers that are visible on top of the base map, you'll need to go to the layer list. It's the second tab here in the left panel. Click on it to switch to the layer list. Layers are turned on when they have the checkbox next to them. Some of the layers are grouped, so you can see if you click on the arrow next to them, more layers appear under this group title. So for example, if I'm interested in drains, I can turn on this group and then expand it to see what will turn on. The parent level, or the top of the group, needs to be turned on for you to be able to see the layers underneath it. You'll also notice that some layers don't turn on when you're zoomed far out. So if I zoom out here, eventually we can no longer see the drains and it has a little message, zoom into view. Either use your scroll wheel on your mouse or use the plus and minus here to zoom in and out. You'll also see a little message reminding you to turn on that parent layer if it's accidentally turned off. You can see here it says, enable the parent layers to view. That means that the top level of that group is not checked on, so you won't be able to see these sublayers. To turn on preset combinations of layers, you can choose a layer theme with this first button here at the top. So for example, if I click on Parks and Recreation, it automatically turns layers on and off for a parks-centered look. So for example, the bordered border trail has appeared on the map, and it's turned off unrelated layers like the drains. If you want to know what the symbology means, you can click on the legend button here at the top of the layer list. This will open the legend panel, and you can see, for example, that the bordered border trail is the dark purple, and other trails in the region are denoted by the lighter purple. To close the legend, you can just click on the X here at the top of the panel. There are many layers in the layer list, so to find what you're looking for quickly, I would recommend searching for it here in the text box. So for example, if I want to see the opportunity index, I can just start typing opportunity, and then it filters it down to that layer. Click on the layer to show it on the map. If you want to see the full layer list again, just click the X here to get rid of your search term. The fewer layers you have turned on, the faster your map will draw. So it's a good idea to keep layers you don't actively need turned off in the layer list. Now, if you notice, way at the bottom there is a group called More Aerials. If I expand that group, I can see what's underneath it. We have a copy of our latest aerial here, and this is because the three-dot menu here allows you to adjust the layer transparency. So if I turn this layer on, remember I have to turn on the parent layer as well, I can adjust the transparency as requested by some of our users. Please note that the aerial here does not sync with what's turned on in the Basemaps widget. So if I go in here to make a change, you can see my map isn't updating to reflect that. Please make sure you have this 2024 aerial turned off if you're using the other widget, because as of now, they don't sync yet. The other aerials here from SEMCOG are not geo-referenced. That means they cannot appear on the map. So when you turn them on, all we have is a grid showing their approximate location. If you want to see these images, you can use the Identify tool Click or draw a small box on the area you're interested in. Click into that feature's details, and there's a URL here that will download the image for you. Now, if we go back to the layer list, you'll notice that some of these layers may seem redundant. This was done to provide different options for performance versus functionality. So for example, at the top here, we have parcel addresses. They draw very quickly on the map, making for a smooth panning experience. If I turn those off, we can see that there's also another parcel addresses layer under the tax parcel labels group. So if I turn that on, turn the parent layer on, and I'm going to turn off a couple of these other ones so they're not trying to draw. We'll notice that this layer is much slower, but we have some options under the layer's 3-dot menu here. Each of these 3 dots will give you actions on the layer that they're next to. So if I click on this one, we have the option to change the labels. This can be helpful when you're composing your own map. For example, trying to read them on top of an aerial. I can make the font larger. I can go in here and make the halo a different color so that it really stands out. And when I click OK, you'll see that reflected in the map. Notice that they draw much slower as I'm panning around the map. There are also 2 parcel layers. The first is parcels data, which has all the information behind the parcels. So you'll want to keep this one checked on if you're using the identify tool. And the other one is parcel symbology. This allows all the parcels to draw quickly on the map as you're panning around. Please note that all the layers are not going to have the same capabilities under their actions menu. If you want to change what the parcels look like, you can use the parcels data. If you go to layer style, you can adjust it here. The last thing I'll point out in the layer list is that you can reorder the layers by using this button here at the top. This is particularly helpful if you're adding your own layers to the map, which I'll show you how to do later. When you enable the reorder layers here, you'll get these arrows here. Click on them to nudge layers up and down the layer list. Anything that's on the top is going to draw on top of all the others, so that's why we try to keep labels at the top. And anything at the bottom is going to draw underneath, so we try to keep aerials or large polygons like parks near the bottom. When you're all done, you can just click on this button again to save your configuration.